Hello everybody, it's been a while since I made a video on this channel, but I'm back and I hope that it is for good. And today I have got a little deck tag for you. It's a really crazy sub-format of old school Magic, and as you can see there are only 9 unique cards and a total of 40 cards in this whole deck. So what's the story behind it? It's really very interesting. In December 2022, in the Odal group, we played an online tournament. It was a Christmas special where the card pool is limited by your first and last name. So the cards that you have must start, the names of the cards must start with either your first or last name. And as you can imagine, it is an incredibly unfair format. So in Magic, we like to talk about luck. Of course, there is the luck of you drawing a certain card. Of course, there's also the luck of being matched against a certain opponent, the kind of a rock, paper, scissors aspect, which I think doesn't get discussed often enough, but I think it is a very important aspect of the tournament scene. But here, being lucky is being born with the right letters in your name. And let me tell you that I was quite lucky to have P and S in my first and last name, respectively. And as you can see, this is what dictated my choice. So the rules were the following. You could have 4 witch cards, which is very important because out of 40 cards, so the limit was not 60 but 40 cards. If we talk about 4 cards out of 40, then it's virtually the same as 6 out of 60. Well, let's not talk about how many cards you draw, so of course the probability is slightly different, but still it is insanely huge. So the probability of you drawing a certain card is really high here if you go with a play set. And we had some tiny limitations, such as you not being able to use duels, so no duels at all. And at first when I heard about it, so P and S, obviously I wanted to use Scrubland, and then I would make some kind of a Dead Guy Ale deck, but then I thought maybe it's a little bit risky, and especially when I heard that there is only one color, I definitely decided to go with one color. So I, as you can see, I was able to make quite a good and powerful deck. So of course we have got 7 Alliance. All the usual restrictions apply, so we do have a Sol Ring, but only 1 copy. But again, 1 copy here in this format is maybe like 1.5 copies in the 60 card deck. 1 Strip Mine to counter Library of Alexandria, which I believe I did see, didn't I? Need to rewatch the matches that I have recorded. And we do have a play set of Swords to Plowshares. I did expect it to be a creature heavy format, and of course it was. But at the same time, we saw some very interesting creatureless or nearly creatureless decks, so it was incredibly interesting. And there are 4 Suchis, of course. It's a very good and powerful card. And again, betting against creature-based decks was this card, Preacher. So having 4 Preachers is just insane, you know. It's not coincidental that I got myself an extra Preacher last year, one of the very few purchases that I made locally, and I don't regret doing that, because Preacher, let's not forget about it. Of course it gives you the weakest creature that your opponent has, but nobody actually prevents you from attacking with this creature, chump blocking, and there is always some kind of a factor, some kind of a risk factor for your opponent. So it is insane. And of course, if you have more than one, it's going to be even tougher. Of course, in this sub format, we didn't have a lot of removal. Again, it really did depend on the letters that player had. So here I have got 4 Serra Angels, which were of course the stars, very often the biggest cards on the board. And the 4th copy is my favorite, Serra Angel, Spanish so-called misprint, right? It's not really a misprint because basically you have got Time Elemental, and this card is supposed to be a Time Elemental, but people still count it as Serra Angel. So I love to look at it. It's really beautiful. It really brings back some good memories of me traveling to Spain and buying it in a Madrid LGS after meeting my friend Manuel, whom I actually got to know only from playing Old School Magic. It's a really amazing thing. Again, cannot stress this enough how much I like the Old School Magic community. But nevertheless, I tend to avoid playing this card, but I just didn't have the fourth Sarah Angel. So it is a little bit misleading, but I still did play it. And finally, we had two copies of Spirit Link. So on the one hand, it acted as pseudo removal. It's very good against Serendip Befreed, which we of course did see. And overall, it was quite nice. So two copies, I think, is not too much. And since I'm always really scared of not having enough mana, I kind of overcompensate for it maybe, because in the past I used to think, okay, 20 lands, every third card is going to be a land, so it's probably going to be good enough. And I know that a lot of people, especially back in the day, did that. They were different deck building traditions, and this is usually not a good decision. So then I decided to up the ratio of lands, and maybe sometimes I really do too much, especially because I'm afraid of land destruction. So pretty much in any deck we would expect some form of land destruction, or at least mana denial. But there it is. So anyway, I did make top 8, but didn't go higher. And I think I won one game in top 8, if I'm not mistaken, but maybe not. No, probably not. I really don't remember that very well. But I will bring back the huge backlog that I've got of videos, and maybe show some of the interesting games. There were some amazing decks based on these letters, and some combinations that you would never see in any other format, not even in limited. So it's really crazy. And this is just one thing for me to emphasize, that it is amazing to have a diversity of decks. It is amazing to just experiment with those things, because again, we see pretty much all of the same cards. He said playing all of the staples, but you get my point. It's really very nice to reinvent the things, and spending time on deck building, and trying to not necessarily even break this format, but to see what is viable and what is not, is quite rewarding. Per se, I would say. So there it is, a really quick deck tech. You know, if you want to play this format ever, because originally I think it was a Swedish format, right? The Swedish old school community came up with it. I think it is called ABC, right, as a format itself. Then you can just tell me, and we can play something, not necessarily with this kind of powerful combination, but still. And it's just good to enjoy the cards, you know, that's the most important thing. So thank you for watching, and I will be back with another video real soon. Bye.